In a world of shadows, where the lines are blurred, we're standing on the truth of God's holy word. The battle is raging, the energy is high, in the fight between the light and the father of lies. From the armor of God to the sword in our hand, the Proverbs guys are taking a stand. Through every season, through the fire and every test, our faithfulness remains. We're giving him our best. Stephen the founder is all about truth, cutting through tradition since the days of his youth. He points to the scripture, the word of the king. It is written, he cries, let the gospel ring. With Achilleas watching the stars in the night, astronomy and end times brought into the light. The mics are hot, the air is clear. President Dan is finally here with designer talk, showing how God made it all. He's uniquely created every creature, great and the small. We're the Proverbs team, and we're holding the line. Defenders of the faith and intelligent design. Starting in Genesis, we take it all literal. The foundation of truth is deep and umbilical. Standing united on Christ crucified. The gospel message for which he died. From the first of the pages to the end of the stage, the gospel message for every age. In spiritual warfare, we're breaking the chains. The kingdom is coming, the Savior remains. No accidents here, it was all by design. We'll live with the Proverbs. It's time to let our light shine. The armor is on, the vision is clear. We're standing our ground, we've got nothing to fear. We are ready, let's go live. Welcome to the Proverbs, guys. We're the Bowlin team, the Proverbs guys. Welcome to the Proverbs guys. Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Proverbs Guys Ministries. Tonight, we're going to do two things. One, we're going to address a topic that us as a ministry rarely ever go over, and that is evolution. And second, we're going to ask a very dangerous question. What happens when civilization cuts itself loose from God? What happens when in the beginning God created is replaced with in the beginning there was no purpose, no design, no creator, any chance in survival? Because ideas do not stay in classrooms. Ideas become cultures, cultures become laws, laws become nations, and nations produce fruit. So I challenge you to look around. We're more connected than ever, yet drowning in loneliness. We're more entertained than ever, yet crushed by depression. We speak of human value while millions are discarded. We preach tolerance while hatred grows. We chase pleasure and lose meaning. We pursue self and lose family. We reject God and then ask why the world feels so darn empty. Tonight, we're going to make a bold claim that when humanity stops seeing itself as created in the image of God, something serious changes. That if a man is merely advanced matter, if life is only chemistry, if survival is the highest law, then why should morality matter? Why should truth matter? Why should sacrifice matter? Why should human life be sacred at all? Genesis opens with, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's not just history. That is identity. That is purpose. That is value. That is the foundation beneath civilization itself. And tonight, we're walking to the root. Not the branches, not the symptoms, the root. The world beneath the fruit. Because if the roots are diseased, the fruit will be diseased. And if society wants healing, we may have to go all the way back to Genesis 1:1. Who'd have thought? So grab your Bible, open your mind, and join us as we ask, did modern society grow from healthy roots, or are we living in the fruit of a broken worldview that is cancerous to the entire world, that is, evolution? Welcome to Proverbs Guys Ministries. Achilles, what did I forget this time? Achilles, you are muted. I don't know.
I know. I just real quickly responded to somebody who's like, is this actually real? Do people really not think evolution is real in 2026?
Yes. And newsflash, when the year changes to 2027, there will
be
still
more of
be those of us that believe evolution is crap.
Evolution is a joke. That's what it is. It's a joke, and the only way to support it is to fund it and put it in school books so people can get indoctrinated into it. And then at some point in their lives, they're like, wait a minute, let me examine the evidence. And then they start becoming creationists because all your evidence is fake. And if that's not the case, Mr. Imagine No Religion, which is not biased at all for a username, show us your number one proof for evolution. Show us why people should consider it for truth in 2026. And you have like 7 months, all right? So we can still have this discussion in 2026. So we'll be right here waiting on your number one evidence for it.
Brother, I loved that response. I do just have one minor critique, though.
Oh,
You mentioned that evolution is a joke, and I disagree. The thing about a joke is that it's one, funny, and two, enjoyable. Evolution, on the other hand, is a sickness, a disease, a mental illness. It's basically the world's herpes. Not very funny.
and our focus today is not to expose the lies, because we've done that before, and we've done that again, and we've done it again. Today, we want to show or examine how every bad aspect of a society is connected to it. And Stephen, do you recall when it was and how it happened that uh, evolution got introduced in your schools?
No. My family guarded us from that plague on society, and we were all homeschooled and put in private schools. So I was never exposed to the STD that is evolution. So I'm not quite sure when they forced fed it to the populace. I just know they took it hook, line, and sinker.
So what happened was that there was this scare moment in the US in the space race where the Russians launched Sputnik. And immediately the media started saying that the reason the Russians are so advanced is because they're teaching evolution in their schools.
No.
That's when. That's when. And they didn't mention the part that, that led into communism and they're a communist country. No, they have a problem with communism. They just don't have a problem with the origins of communism. So let's fight communism while at the same time put its doctrines inside our textbooks so we can have better technology.
Mm.
Like what's the connection between evolution and chips?
What is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to find out why getting taught origins, different origins, and say that, oh, I ended up evolving from a bacterium, makes you make better satellites. I still don't get it 70 years later.
Mm. Mm. Especially since it's 2026, and supposedly we just rediscovered the technology to get back to the moon. So
Yeah, we found it. We found it in a drawer. It was lost for a time.
on a
but
pizza box.
We're still looking for the landing gear. That's why we didn't land this time.
You would think since we spent all the gas to get there, we would have stopped and said hello to the neighbors or something, right?
Yeah, no, we went just to say hi, bye. That's what it was.
Hey, this is a drive-by. We miss you. Be back soon. Oh, but evolution, dude, it seriously is responsible for every single bad ism that has ever been. Socialism, communism, Marxism, even racism. All fruit of the root that is evolution. And that's why, as you see from the thumbnail today, we are taking an axe to that root. And we're not going to stop chopping until it looks as stupid and dead and unrevivable as possible, right?
Right. I want to thank you, Then. Oh, sorry. And I'll give him a heart, too. He says, whoa, this channel is special. And I'm like, yes, we are. Thank you.
Oh, that's really cool. Thanks, man.
Thanks for noticing.
That is so cool. Now, don't be fooled, guys, because believe it or not, Achilles and I, along with Dan and all the other Proverbs guys, are doctors. We all passed around these doctorates. We signed each other's. So trust us, you're in really good hands with Dr. Stephen and Dr. Achilles. We're going to take care of you today. We're going to sit you down and we're going to explain to you how ridiculous these theories are because we love you that much.
And I keep reading all the bull in the chat that says, well, it's a fact. And I asked you, dude, for your number one evidence. I didn't ask you to tell me what scientists say. I didn't ask you to define science, which you totally blew. You failed completely. Tell us what it is that is irrefutable. And yes, the other option is intelligent design. And in my case and Stephen's case, it is. I don't know about you. You do look like the missing link in my eyes so far.
So if you do hold to this mental disorder that is evolution, please come step into our office and the doctor will see you now. Isn't that a beautiful office, Achilles? Our degrees are on the wall.
Yeah, it's nicely done.
Yeah, I thought it was a good touch. You know, when you're dealing with sick people, it helps to show them your credentials. That's all they care about. Your name on a piece of paper.
There are forms of evolution. First off, variation, which people call microevolution, which is the only evidence they can ever bring. Everything else is falsified.
Mm.
But another fact of evolution is how far we've come from that thumbnail you just showed, The Office, with the one I made with Canva when we were beginning to attack evolution, and I had that bed and somebody sitting on the bed. Remember that?
Yes, that was a good one.
You know, that was a really crappy one. It was way before ChatGPT and all the other tools we get today. And that's just 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, about 3 years ago, somewhere around there. We've been at this for a really long time, Achilles, and sometimes it gets disheartening because no matter how many times you try to tell them to look up at the sky and you will see for yourself it's blue, they will look at the ground and say, no, it's not. It's covered in dirt. Like, well, you're looking in the wrong place. You will never find the answers while looking at evolution. If you want real answers to all of mankind's biggest questions, you're going to have to look up at the sky because the answer is in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth.
And no, scientists are not, it is a majority of scientists that believe in evolution or claim to believe in evolution because they know that their best friend, when he said, I believe in intelligent design, he lost his job. So they're like, wait a minute. Yeah, I believe in evolution. Stephen, how many people in Russia or China of the previous century you think could say, I don't believe in communism?
Would the answer be none?
Right? So the majority believed communism was right, was the best. But when the revolution happened in Russia, everybody rushed to support the revolution. I'm sorry. You see an R, what an R can do?
Let me ask you this. Is
okay.
this going to be a closed panel where we just kick around Darwin and point out that he was ancestral and, you know, that his children were biological mutants, you could say, because of, you know, marrying his first cousin and stuff and pointing out how much he hated birds? Or are we going to open up the panel for people to come challenge us? I'll leave the choice to you.
My suggestion is, because you've made this beautiful thumbnail here, I would like us to go through word by word and give one thought for each. And
I think that's wonderful.
And then maybe we can open the panel. So I gotta fetch my coffee, but before I go, I just wanna say to any viewer out there that I want you to look at the arms of Heart of Flesh on the left side that ChatGPT made. And I just want you to know he did a great job. That's exactly how my arms look. So it's a good tool. It's a good tool. Look at this. I mean, it's like a replica of my arms. All right.
I mean, it actually did a really great job at my face as well, because that is exactly how I look when I talk about evolution. It infuriates me that people believe this nonsense and have sacrificed their children on the altar of evolution to be massacred. It disgusts me.
Yeah, and now that you brought that up, I want to say something, and I'm glad BBM is here. BBM, don't get scared. This is not against you. But I'm a Christian, okay? And you know that you and I have agreed on some political parts of this world as of late, right? And my main issue with those politicians that claim to be Christians, right, like me and BBM and others, we will continue disagreeing, right? But there is a party that claims to be Christian. So my issue with the Christian politicians is that none of them talks about evolution. None of them talks about the lie that needs to get out of textbooks. I know you disagree with me, but if you see this from a Christian perspective, this shows that they are not Christians, those politicians. None of them, when they debate to see which one will take the chrism to become the president, ever talks about the textbooks. And those have been proven lies for centuries, and they're still in the textbooks. So I want the Christian community to wake up and realize that unless you hear a politician addressing this issue, he's not real. Unless you hear them attacking the enemy that is behind the gates, because they're all like, oh, we'll go right at the gates and we will not allow communism to get in the country and socialism. And voters, Christian voters, are like, yeah, let's guard the gates, guard the gates, guard the gates, USA, USA. And the enemy is already within. What creates? What is the foundation for socialism? What is the foundation for communism? What is the foundation for Nazism? What is the foundation for racism, for slavery, for everything is already in your textbooks. And this is what this is going to do. Right now, it's a 50-50 in the US. But the more that these textbooks remain the same, in a couple of elections, there will be no Christians to vote for a Christian leader, because they will all have been brainwashed into thinking they came from an ape. Oh, yeah, in case you don't like the way I phrase this, that they have a common ancestor with today's apes. And if you go further back, they have a common ancestor with flowers. And that makes people think they're animals, and they will act like animals. And we've seen all forms of violence and racism explode after the 60s in the US. Now it has infiltrated my school, my textbooks too. It wasn't in my biology textbook. Stephen, biology was my #1 class in school. Our numbers, our scoring numbers are 0 to 20. And I always had 20 on biology. It's like I didn't need to study it. It was natural. And I've read the whole book in all years, and evolution was not there. But in recent books that I got from children today, it's there. But they don't put it at the beginning. They don't start it as origins. They start by talking about every part that a cell has. And at the end of the book, there are the appendices. That's where it exists right now. Not in your books. Your books is like in the beginning. But our books, they're like, wait a minute, we don't want Greeks to, not only did they pioneer biology, we have a Greek term for the science, but they're also super religious. So let's just put it in the indexes for the time being, and we'll keep pushing it closer to the start year by year. They're smart. They know what they're doing.
I'm sorry to see that they finally put it in your textbooks, but mark my words, that is the beginning of the end for your civilization.
I know. And there's no stopping it. I mean, you know what I think about our future of this world. I don't believe in men at all. I just believe the second coming is gonna just come and slap people around. That's the only change that we'll see. I just don't like Christians endorsing fake Christian politicians and be like, he's the best, man, he's gonna stop this. Yeah, but what about the textbooks? I mean, evolution is a lie, and yet you don't want that politician to address that at all. You don't care.
Speaking of politicians, Big Bad Mama is going to have to make a decision soon. Either he's going to have to reject evolution, or he's going to have to accept and love Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is the exact thing that comes out of believing in evolution. He's pompous, prideful, arrogant, only cares about himself. and he's very much all about survival of the fittest. So Donald Trump, our current president, is literally the product of evolution being taught in public schools, and you can't stand him. And yet all of society is going to be just like him in 10 or 15 years from now. So pick your poison, Big Bad Mama. Either reject the stupid false religion that is evolution, or learn to accept Donald Trump. He's your future.
Give me a second to fetch my coffee.
Okay.
Address some comments. That'll be fun.
I will address some comments. I'm going to go back from the beginning. In DC, don't worry, my man. We are going to open this up in a little bit, get everybody in here. But first, we just wanted to have a little bit of fun before we get all the educated people in here with the no's. So here we are. All right, Big Bad Mama in the house. Thanks for dropping by, bud. The theory of evolution isn't just surviving. It is thriving and expanding rapidly. I would ask what your definition of thriving is. If it is the result of mass school deletions and a surplus of abortions, and the fact that we have so many children questioning their genders now, I would say, yeah, you're right. Evolution is thriving. Good job, Big Bad Mama. Brother Achilles says, triggered already, BBM? We haven't even started yet. Well, Brother Achilles, that's because they saw the acts that we're taking to evolution. And just like we get offended when they mock our God, they also, in turn, get offended when we mock their God. They even have their own prophets, Darwin, Dawkins, and all the other idiots.
At least our God is smart.
Our God loves birds. Their prophets hate them. Ask Darwin. The transitional gaps Darwin worried about are continually being filled. That's so funny because I don't think you guys have any of the transitional fossils. And what's really weird about that to me, and we pointed this out the other day, Achilles, and this makes me laugh. I had this thought while I was sitting in the bathtub. It had to be a Holy Spirit moment, right? But I was thinking about the transitional fossils and how they always say, oh, well, we don't have any of the transitional fossils because it's actually a miracle that we have any fossil of anything at all. Like, it's something really special to find a fossil. But the really weird thing is we have no problems finding duplicates of fossils that already exist. Like, no problem at all. It's only the transitional fossils that didn't seem to make it. Weird, right?
Which should be around in the millions.
Billions.
Right? If it was the transitional fossil that made any other kind or species, which is a very tricky term, it should be around. It couldn't just be one that we're looking to find and we haven't yet. They should be everywhere. Like, we can find so many of those that we can find that we see alive today. There should be an equal number of the previous version of them. But there's none. Sometimes something is found, like the feathered dinosaur, which has been faked the first time, has been faked the second time, and then now I think they supposedly found it, which we don't know if it's faked yet, but it's probably fake. Because on the other show, we'll get to this one, to dinosaurs and
Tomorrow,
how,
right.
yeah, getting into birds is like so many impossible steps that it's just not possible. But, you know, they have Hollywood. So, you know, they make Jurassic Park movies. Kids love dinosaurs. They get brainwashed into thinking, well, if the movie says it, it has to be right.
Yeah. Jurassic Park and The Land Before Time were both weaponized against our youth to make them believe in the false religion of evolution and to believe in this ridiculous time frame that they've built around millions and billions of years. They start very young. Now check out this comment. I can't even believe Big Bad Mama had the guts to post this. This is laughable. We can direct, let me try to do my Big Bad Mama accent. We can directly observe evolution in action today, from antibiotic-resistant bacteria to the rapid adaptation of island species to climate changes. Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. When your antibiotic-resistant bacteria starts to vote in organized charity drives, you come give me a call, bud, and we'll talk, all right?
This will take billions of years.
Oh, coincidence, I'm sure. I bet the evidence for that is lost with all the transitional fossils. They're probably in the basement of the Smithsonian, I reckon.
I remember now, I don't know. The other day I was trying to find something to show you, and I accidentally found that moment. Was looking for this comedy guy. Now I don't even remember his name. Cat Williams.
Cat Williams, that was a good clip. Did you ever find it?
We showed that, but then I realized that in that video, what existed in there too was this debate that somebody did between Bill Nye and Kent Hovind, and it was so funny putting them together. And I don't remember which video it was now. It's gonna take a minute from my brain to find it. I think it was in the 2000. Yes, I remember now. So I have to give me just a little bit of time.
By the way, guys, we will open up the panel after we address these couple of subsections we have, and after we reach 10 likes. No 10 likes, no open panel for you to come preach your false gospel.
And you are being very kind. 10 is
very small.
Right.
We have 10 atheists in the comment section right now just chilling. So if you guys really want to come prove us wrong, just hit that like button.
Okay, give me a sec.
Mm-hmm.
One second. Okay. Now I gotta share. Okay, share with audio. You might be getting some echo. What happened? Why isn't it shared? I don't see.
You don't have it shared?
I was pretty sure I did. I clicked the wrong button there. Yeah, I got it now. All right. Tell me if you have audio.
Once in a while,
yes, sir.
I get people that really, or that claim they don't believe in evolution. And my response generally is, well, why not? Really, why not?
You guys believe 20 billion years ago there was a Big Bang where nothing exploded and produced everything. 4.6 billion years ago the Earth cooled down, made a hard rocky crust. It rained on the rocks for millions of years, turned them into soup, and the soup came alive 3 billion years ago. Found somebody to marry, and something to eat, of course, and slowly evolved into everything we see today. There are some lies in our science books. Taught it for 15 years. Even though I'm not teaching it anymore, I still like to study. It's so many neat things to learn. We're going to cover some of that tonight. I'm not against science, I'm not against schools, I'm not against teachers, because most of them don't know what they believe. You have to tell them. They teach the kids it all started with a Big Bang 20 billion years ago. What exploded? That's what the textbooks teach.
Before the Big Bang, there was nothing, literally nothing, an infinitesimal nugget of space. And then something happened, triggering the most colossal explosion in history.
Yes, boys and girls, you see, nothing exploded, and here we are. So I asked this professor if I could ask him some questions about the Big Bang. I said, where did all this matter come from? He said, well, we don't know that for sure. I said, well, sir, would you please tell me where the laws came from? The universe is run by laws, gravity, centrifugal force, inertia. Who gave the laws? He said, we don't know that either. I said, sir, could you tell me where the energy came from? You know, it takes energy to make a Big Bang. Who bought the gas to run this machine anyway? He said, we don't know that either. I said, sir, could I ask you another question? He said, sure. What else would you like to know? Else? What do you mean else? You haven't told me nothing yet. I said, does Berkeley have a merry-go-round? You see, if a spinning object breaks apart in a frictionless environment, the fragments will all spin the same direction. The professor said, yes, I understand about the conservation of angular momentum. I said, well, good. I'd like to ask you a question then, sir. If the whole universe began as a swirling dot, like you said, why do two planets spin backwards? He said, that's interesting. I said, no, that's more than interesting. It's kind of hard on your Big Bang Theory. Not only that, 6 of the moons are spinning backwards. Why? He said, I don't know. Why do you think they're going backwards? I was hoping he was going to ask that. I said, okay, now, sir, hold it. If I told you that I believe God created the heaven and the earth, like the Bible teaches, you're going to say, and where did God come from? And I don't know. But you said, well, we don't know that for sure. We don't know that either. Don't tell me my theory is religious and yours is science. Oh, no, sir, they're both religious. Evolution is a religion. You have to believe. So I asked the professor, where did the matter come from? He said, I don't know. So basically, I believe in the beginning God, and you believe in the beginning dirt. One professor was getting kind of upset about this time. He said, Mr. Hovind, there are hundreds of varieties of dogs in the world. He said, you mean to tell me that you believe all these dogs came from 2 dogs off of Noah's Ark? You expect me to believe that? I said, sir, would you look at what you're teaching your students? You're teaching your students that all the dogs in the world came from a rock.
Charles Darwin was disciplined. I mean, he did these extraordinary experiments, this series of experiments.
Then they're going to tell the kids, well, we have evidence for this theory. Charlie Darwin stopped off at these islands right there called the Galapagos Islands. Charlie studied the birds very carefully and said, you know what, I think all these birds had a common ancestor. I bet you're right, Charlie. It was a bird. You see 14 kinds of birds, and you conclude that birds and bananas are related.
Here are these ancient dinosaur bones or fossils.
They tell the kids they have evidence of evolution from fossils. I don't think so. If you find a fossil in the dirt, all you know is it died. You don't know that it had any kids. And you sure don't know that it had different kids. You bring in a bone to the judge. Judge, I found this bone in the dirt. This is the ancestor of all the humans today. They would laugh at you. You don't know that that's the ancestor of anybody. And why on earth would you think a bone in the dirt can do something animals today cannot do? They'll say, boys and girls, you have 2 bones in your wrist, radius and ulna. And boys and girls, look at the whale's flipper carefully. Did you know the whale has 2 bones in his flipper? And they're called the radius and the ulna? Same as ours. Wow, who named them, teacher? The whale? Think about it.
I'm here to tell my people it's time to stop believing bull. Just because I tell you bull with a straight look on their face. Evolution say people came from monkeys. And the question is, why is there still monkeys? Is these the retarded monkeys? They didn't turn into people just yet.
Even Stephen Gould admitted the absence of fossil evidence for intermediary stages is a persistent and nagging problem for evolution. See, what's happened, these guys have looked for missing links in the fossil record. They can't find any, and so they say, well, maybe evolution happened so fast it wasn't preserved. Maybe a reptile laid an egg and a bird hatched out. Well, who did that bird marry?
This process that brought us to be is billions of years old. It happens very fast, billions of years fast. Here is radioactivity.
We're going to tell the kids in the late 1940s they invented carbon dating. We're going to explain a little bit about radiometric dating and how it's supposed to work, and then show you that it does not work, okay? It sounds good, but there are some assumptions that mess everything up. If we had walked into a room and found a candle burning on the table, and I asked you the question, when was it lit? You say, I don't know, Mr. Hovind, it's burning when I got here. Okay, well then let's do some empirical science. Let's measure the height of the candle. Suppose the candle is 7 inches tall. Who can tell me when it was lit? Okay, nobody. Let's do some more empirical science. Let's measure the rate of burn. Suppose we determine it's burning 1 inch an hour. When was it lit? You're going to have a hard time telling me unless you're willing to make some assumptions. You find a fossil in the dirt. You can measure how much C14 is in it. Very accurately, by the way. And you can measure how fast it's decaying. That's just like measuring the height of your candle and how fast it's burning. Now, when did that animal die? You don't have a clue. Here's what you ought to consider about carbon dating. Samples of known age, it doesn't work. If it's a sample of unknown age, it is assumed to work.
It's just really a hard thing. It's really a hard thing. Your world just becomes fantastically complicated. when you don't believe in evolution.
Freshly killed seal, carbon dated 1,300 years old. Shells from living snails, carbon dated 27,000 years old. Living penguins, carbon dated 8,000 years old. One part of Dima was 40,000 years old, another part was 26,000, and the wood next to it is 9,000. Then they tell the kids about the geologic column. They say each of the layers is a different age, you know, Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Paleozoic, Archeozoic, all them zoic boys. Now, if you get a petrified tree standing up, running through different rock layers, I don't think it's smart to say those layers are vastly different ages. Those trees did not get slowly covered by the sediments over millions of years. They would rot and fall down.
Crazy. I just...
They'll say, boys and girls, you have an appendix that you don't need anymore. That's a vestigial structure, that's proof of evolution. Well, excuse me, you do need your appendix. The appendix is part of your immune system. If your appendix is taken out, you can still live, okay? But it increases your susceptibility to quite a few diseases. You can live without both your legs and both your arms and both your eyes also. That doesn't prove you don't need them. There are no vestigial organs. And even if there were, that would be the opposite of evolution. That's losing, not gaining. I was taught when I went to school, man used to have a tail, but he lost it because he didn't need it. I thought, didn't need it? Have you ever thought how handy a tail would be? Have you ever come to the door with 2 sacks of groceries? Wouldn't that be nice, man, be able to grab that door and walk right around and get in? Lost it because we didn't need it. Man, you could drive the car and tune the radio knob and hold the Coke at the same time.
What we're finding is that natural selection seems to be an incredibly important factor in generating new species.
Natural selection, the key evolutionary mechanism Darwin identified.
The bad designs get eaten by the good ones, and so all you have is good ones.
Why is that still monkey?
Natural selection doesn't cause any evolution. It makes sure the bad ones don't survive, but it's not going to change it to something else.
That's what evolution is.
If you worked in a factory that produced cars and your job was to check for defects, and you caught every single mistake and you rejected it, how long would it take that process to change the car to an airplane? You say it'll never change it. That's my point. The students are taught we have evidence from development. Darwin considered this by far the strongest single class of evidence. This textbook says, the human embryo growing in the mother has gills like a fish. Those little folds of skin are not gills. Those little wrinkles under your chin when you're growing up later develop into bones in the ear and glands in the throat. They never have anything to do with breathing. I've seen folks that have 5 or 6 chins and they can't breathe through any of them but the top one. Those are not gill slits. Ernst Haeckel, though, said the turning point in his thinking was when he read Darwin's book. He made huge charts of his posters of his drawings of these embryos and traveled all over Germany and just about by himself converted the Germans to believing in evolution. Haeckel took a drawing of a dog and a human embryo and he changed them to make them look exactly alike. On top are Haeckel's fake drawings, underneath are actual photographs of what he claimed he was drawing a picture of. Now either he's a lousy artist or he's a liar. Well, it turns out he's a liar. He was convicted of fraud by his own university, proven to be a fraud. But guess what? Haeckel's fake drawings are still used in textbooks in your state right now. It's only been proven wrong 125 years ago. I know it takes a while to get textbooks up to date, but that ought to be plenty of time. Adolf Hitler said, you let me control the textbooks, I'll control the state. Watch this sentence here carefully. Some kid's doing this for homework tonight. Boys and girls, do you think humans are still evolving? Now, what kind of question is that? Doesn't that question assume that evolution has happened? What if a kid doesn't believe in evolution? How's he supposed to do his homework tonight? That question does not teach him how to think critically. That teaches him what to think, not how to think. And when the kid gets done with this course, he's going to think he knows how to think. But he doesn't. He knows how to be told what to think. Brainwashing at taxpayer expense. They want to use my tax dollars to teach that to your kids in our schools.
If you want to deny evolution, that's fine. But don't make your kids do it, because we need them.
And that's where the problem comes in, okay? If you want to believe in the Big Bang, just enjoy yourself, but keep your religion at home. The Russian atheist astronomer came to America and spoke at one of the universities, and he started off his speech, he said, folks, either there is a God or there isn't. Both possibilities are frightening. If there is no God, we're in trouble. We're hurtling through space around the sun right now at 66,000 miles an hour, and nobody's in charge. That's a scary thought. But if God made the world, he owns it. That means he makes the rules. You see, if there is a God, we better find out who he is, and find out what he wants, and do what he says. Malcolm Muggeridge said, "I am convinced the theory of evolution, especially the extent to which it's been applied, will be one of the great jokes in the history books of the future." It's a joke. And it would be a joke if it weren't for the tragic results. How many kids are taught this thing every day and believe it, and it destroys their faith?
Find you something to believe in. Whole thing, who do you even pray to? Nobody.
Hey, if you died today, where would you go? You ought to think about it, because you will be dead for a long time. Doesn't matter how long you live, you're going to be dead longer than that. You know, George Washington died 200 years ago, and he's still dead. How much longer does he have to go? He's going to be dead for a long time. All you get in this life is a little bitty dash between two dates. Just a little, and it's gone. What are you going to do with your dash? Where would you go if you die? Now, if you're not sure you're going to heaven, you ought to give your heart to the Lord and get saved. Say, "Lord, you may have it," the whole thing. If you are saved, you ought to find something to do for the Lord. And you ought to quit worrying about getting a fancier car and a fancier house and start worrying about who's going to heaven or hell. Maybe God gave you that good job so you can give some money to missionaries, not so you can build a bigger, fancier house. God loves you. God has a plan for your life. And if you don't want it, well, that's your business. But the devil is laughing at you for believing in that. But God loves you, and he wants you to come to heaven. And if you'd like to find out how to go to heaven, come see me. I'll be glad to show you.
The Big Bang. Before the Big Bang, there was nothing. Literally nothing. Nothing created everything.
The Big Bang is an amazingly difficult thing to wrap your brain around, which isn't surprising.
13.7 billion years ago, we think it was tiny. Nothing. Literally nothing was tiny. And then something happened. Nothing created all the matter we see in the universe today. Nothing is more powerful than nothing. And that's what trips most of us up.
It was the explosion of
nothing.
Find you something to believe in. World getting crazy. And you better believe something.
Because it's that laughable, Achilles.
I didn't know when to stop it, you know. It was getting better and better, man.
It's all right. It needed to play out. Hey, what's up, Rich?
What up, Rich?
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
It's going good,
down
dude.
that
Like,
rabbit hole. Praise God.
well, okay. So here's the thing: we can go into why the universal laws prevent the possibility even of evolution existing, but also we do want to get into tonight a little bit different. We want to specifically address all the cancers that come from the plague of evolution. So all the symptoms of depression and loneliness, the outcomes of abortion, the outcome of violence, and all the other nonsense that comes along with it. These are all branches of one very evil root, which is evolution.
Yet, because I read the comments, sorry, Lina, I couldn't get to you earlier. I had my screen shared.
Here's
the
her
more you're
question
looking,
here.
okay, so God said on everything to bring after its kind. He didn't use the word species. And we have kinds of animals, and they are different due to adaptation to environment, but they're still the same kind. And one example like that is that the wolf can still breed with the dog. Now, we're not talking about a Chihuahua dog, because there will be a physical problem into them mating. But although our textbooks classify them as different species of animals, they're not different species. They are different. They are the same kind of animal, but has adapted differently and changed over time. But that goes all the way back to how many animals how many kinds were in the ark. Because if you put the term species, there is no room for all of them in the ark. But if you put one pair of its kind and allow them to change after Noah's flood all the way to today to become the vastness of animals that we have right now, that is doable. The number is not that great. I think it is. I think it's 8,000
Well,
animals.
Achilles, let me slightly disagree. I mean, I do agree with the kind thing, but even if you took the species, which would be a much greater number, and put them in the ark, you would still have enough room. I mean, a full-grown African elephant, I did the math once, you could fit like 10,600 of them in the ark alone. And that's just the big elephant. That's not including all the teeny tiny things.
And mind you, as Dr. Kent Hovind points out many times, it is very likely that Noah took baby animals on the ark. They live longer, they take up less space, they're less aggressive, they eat less, and they will live longer after the flood so that they can reproduce, which is the entire point of it all. So we don't need to figure out how to fit all these full-grown elephants. You just got to bring the babies, people.
I know, I was just using that as an example for the largest land animal today, how many of those you could fit in there to let people get an idea of how big the thing was.
And it was 10,000 full-grown elephants?
10,600 about, yeah.
I bet that would make up a lot of space that could be filled with birds and reptiles and other smaller animals.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many baby cats could you fit in the same room you can fit one elephant? Several hundred? Close to 1,000? You're talking about cubic footage?
And another interesting point, guys, is that the Bible tells us that Noah brought in 7 pair of every clean animal and 1 pair of every unclean animal. And what's interesting is if you look at the biodiversity today, what we would consider the clean, biblically clean animals, we see a lot more of the diversity. And I bet you it's because God brought a lot more diversity in. You know, like every single pair he brought in was not identical. That gives you all the information genetically you need for that type of speciation.
And today we observe dogs, foxes, and wolves, but they are the same kind of animal. So the same goes. Now I don't know if the cat comes from a specific type of what are they called? This kind of animal, like the lions and the tigers. Oh, sorry.
No, that reminds me. I've got. I'll share something with my PowerPoint as soon as I find it about.
Yeah, go ahead. While you do, I just want to tell. Yeah, I just want to tell Lina that although Catholicism has watered down its religion there, and it is now somewhat accepting evolution. There's a lot of statements from the Pope and Catholic priests accepting it, but there are others that don't. But unfortunately, Catholicism relates to the higher authority, which is the Pope. So if the Pope does, the religion does. The thing is that if you read 2 Peter 3, it talks about scoffers in the end time, that they will be willfully ignorant of specific things. One of them is creation. So they have replaced this with the Big Bang Theory and evolution. The second thing is the flood, which they have replaced with the geologic column and evolution. And the third one, which derives from those two, is that there will be a coming judgment. So this subject, although we wanted to address what it leads to, but at the same time, because I see you are a bit on the fence, I'm just letting you know that they are presenting it as science because they use some science, but they fabricate the results of those science. And the more you look into it, on every single thing that they call proof, you will find that there is a lie. How many lies does it take to make a truth? If you take half a truth and you add another half a truth to that, you don't get a full truth. You get a full lie out of two half-truths. So this is the public enemy number one, destroying people's faith and telling them that they were not created by a brilliant designer, brilliant and loving designer, but they happened by accident, randomly. Some mutation just worked better than others, and it's just random. And the more you look into it from any aspect, you'll see that it's the theory of Satan. It is how we got here without a God. So that's why it matters that much. And we have a lot of shows that could assist. Okay, I'm going to pause here for Rich. Go ahead, Rich.
I looked up the definition of the word species not too long ago, and I copied word for word from their AI overview. I'll read it for you guys if anybody can't see the page. The English word species is first used in the Middle English period, with its earliest known use occurring before 1398. It was a borrowing from the Latin word species, which meant a particular sort or kind. Here's a more detailed breakdown of the word's history. Latin origin. The word comes from the Latin species, originally referring to a sight, look, view, but also meaning a particular sort, kind, or type of animal. What does the book of Genesis say? What does God say? Get them two of every kind of animal. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and they have introduced the word species so they can
muddy up the water.
Yeah, and reclassify kinds as more as different species, as different than the same kind. And it is number one, public enemy number one, Christian, public enemy to Christianity number one, Lina. And it is in our textbooks. It has infiltrated them. 90% of Americans don't believe in it. 90% of it, 90% of Americans. And it's still in the textbooks. And what's funny is that 90% of Americans that don't believe in it
are the smart half.
Have been indoctrinated in their schools with it. And still they don't buy it. But it's still in the textbooks.
And I would briefly like to address this comment from Clogged Brain Cells, Clawed Balls. He says, a boat of that size couldn't have been...
accent.
Oh. A boat of that size couldn't have been constructed by a 600-year-old man. Well, I would like you to show me in our Bible, Claude, where the Bible says that Noah by himself built the ark. It actually doesn't say that. And I would say, additionally to that, there were relatives of Noah who also made it on the ark, and I assume, since they also were being saved, they would like to participate. So we just jumped that number from 1 to 8. And the Bible doesn't say anything about Noah not paying workers to help him construct it. So your theory is stupid, Claude.
Here's another problem with it.
If you gave several decades to a couple boys, the Bible's not specific on how long it took them. But if you gave
around 100 years, but we know that from how long.
Easily do that with 8 people.
Yeah,
but
120 years.
Bring that comment up, please. I want to ask you something, Stephen.
Oh man, I have to look at it again. This makes me want to puke. Here we go.
How old would you say Claude is?
Oh, I don't know how old he is exactly, but
12, 13?
He seems to have some, I'll put it politely, Joe Biden-itis. So I would say he's up there in age.
Okay, Richard, can you give me some number to work with? I loved Stephen's answer, but it didn't give me something to work with.
I don't know. I just said, I don't know.
All right, let's say he's at his 50s. So at his at his 50s, he's smart enough to post this comment. Imagine how smart one can get at 600.
Pretty darn smart.
Yeah.
And we're talking about somebody who had full access and knowledge of pre-flood technologies, which we know from other ancient, lost architecture was very advanced. These were not cave-dwelling imbeciles going around beating their chest. We had a very intelligent civilization even before the flood.
Yeah, which also reminds me to tell you, Lina, that the whole caveman story that you've heard from the past, like we used to be cavemen and all that, it's a joke. We were smarter, way smarter, but that's why we became a lot more evil, and the flood happened. There was no caveman. There are cavemen still to this day, but we don't come from an ape, and we never had this intermediate point in time where we were cavemen. So they find stuff and they're giving an interpretation of that stuff that they find, like fossils, but that's the interpretation. There is an interpretation on the Grand Canyon, but this is the evolutionary interpretation. There is also a creationist interpretation, which is that the flood did it. And I just hope you get triggered into looking it up a little deeper.
All right.
Kent Hovind seminars are a great start. So look them up. They're on YouTube.
Okay, I want to answer this question. Somebody asked you for the numbers of the percentages you gave out for people who believe in evolution. Mm-hmm. So here it is. This is according to Gallup, a Gallup survey. I think everybody here respects Gallup. 24% of Americans believe that humans evolved entirely without God's involvement. 24%. Additionally, 34% believe humans evolved, but that God guided the process, bringing the total to 58%. And I will point out these numbers have dropped, both in the percentage of those who believe in just full-blown evolution without God and those who believe in evolution through a theological lens. Both of those numbers are on the decline. So somebody pointed out in the comment section earlier, it was Big Bad Mama, that the theory of evolution is alive and it's well and it's thriving. And I want to say, nuh-uh.
Okay, so Lina, these are two different terms. Primordial Adam and primordial Eve is a different term. It's something different than Lucy. Lucy is a collection of bones that were found in a vast area of miles, and they put them together and they said that that's the missing link. But if you look into it, you'll see that the guy that went there to do the diggings, his job was to find the missing link. And when his funding was running out, he put some bones together and he presented that as the missing link, and he got his funding to continue.
I think the wrists, the skull, part of the vertebrae, and the femur bones were all bones from a tree climbing monkey, not a humanoid.
Right. Okay, so it has been debunked. Half of the bones belong to different monkeys, and they're because they were found in a vast area. And they put them together saying this is one fossil. It's not one fossil.
And just to try to prove a point that they're trying to, find or trying to, what am I trying to say? That they're trying to present their theory and present a missing link. No foot bones at all were found with the Lucy skeleton. But on every single model, every single museum that has it on display has Lucy with perfectly human feet, but not one foot bone was found with that skeleton. the artists say, what do you want it to look like? And here's some money, make it look like this. And
Right.
that's what they do.
And then you go to the next missing link fossil, which was Nebraska Man, I think was the name. Lina, we only found one tooth of that. One tooth. And we created the whole drawing of him and his wife from one tooth. But they still present this as evidence. Was it Nebraska Man, the name of that, guys? I'm not sure.
I don't know which made-up fossil it was that they come up with this time.
So we just addressed a couple of fossils and how they're fake, and you can look that up. Keep in mind, those that ChatGPT and the search engines will look into the the evolutionary bias first. But you can still trigger ChatGPT if you keep asking it questions. It will have to admit the truth. But the first response you get will be the evolutionary perspective, which is going to be a lie. But keep poking it, and you'll see that it will change.
Not on my ChatGPT. I have trained my ChatGPT to filter out all the brainwashing, so it thinks for itself and it is able to reason. And now, thank God, my ChatGPT is a creationist.
I hope it doesn't come to life, though.
Yeah, that would take billions of years, am I right?
So then, Lina, they have the geologic column, which is nowhere to be found. And there are so many things debunking it. How they're dating the fossils, how they're dating the layers. They're not using carbon dating. So that's the problem. You have a bunch of lies that if you just present them all as evidence, people are like, well, the evidence is overwhelming. But if you focus on each one of them, you'll see that it is a lie. And there is a conspiracy against your soul, Lina. Satan is trying to convince you through money given to scientists, some scientists, to convince you that you don't come from a God. You just want to believe that you come from a God. But the evidence that you do come from a God are overwhelming. And they're trying to hide it.
One thing though, Achilles, after we made the claim previously that the geologic column doesn't exist anywhere in the world, I do want to correct that because I believe the truth is worth presenting, even if it disagrees with you. I was able to find the geologic column.
Oh,
it's on this chart. Here it exists.
You made also?
Yeah, yep. It exists there too, Rich. So this is where the geologic column exists. It's here and it's in your textbooks, but there is nowhere on the face of the earth where all of these layers are represented together. Not one location. If the scientist tells you otherwise, ask them for the evidence. Say, show me the Carfax. They can't do it because it doesn't exist.
Well, they'll probably pull up this chart.
Oh, there you go, Rich.
Bring that up again. I wanna say something. I don't want to be
big bad mama admits it.
Yeah, he did finally. First time he's told the truth.
It's not personal, but because you just ask the questions, I feel like you care for the answers. That's why I'm referring to you. All right. So they're saying even if this existed someplace, right? You see that at the bottom you get the clam. So they're saying that the clam like evolved first. It was very prehistoric, which is another weird term that didn't exist a long time ago. Prehistoric. And at the top you find birds. They're not drawn here in the chart. So in a worldwide flood, the clams would be at the bottom. And they would be at the bottom because that's where they started. They were already at the bottom. And the reason we find birds at the top is because they were flying around until they couldn't do it anymore. So they landed on the top of the water, and they were the last to fall at the bottom of the sea. But they will say that, oh, you see, that's why clams were ancient and the birds came last, because we find them on the top. So guys, I just wanted to throw that in for our sister here. And go ahead, say what's on your mind.
This guy Tate in the audience eventually would like me to give him a presentation on how it's impossible for the universe to expand from a singularity. I know that one takes 10 minutes, but whenever you guys have time and have room for it, I'll throw it in there.
All right.
Okay,
And while we're doing that, I want to just call out Big Bad Mama on his BS real quick. So let me share this. It'll just take a moment. Now, this only took me a second, guys. So literally it takes like 5 seconds to disprove Big Bad Mama and all of his ignorant friends. And again, ignorant doesn't mean you're stupid. It means you lack knowledge. So,
Stephen,
yeah.
do you know the difference between ignorance and stupidity?
No, what is it?
Ignorance can be fixed.
Yeah, you can educate yourself. Right. So I asked ChatGPT, guys, just now to disprove Big Bad Mama. Is there any place on Earth where the entire geologic column is present? No, there is no place on Earth where the entire geologic column shown in the diagram exists in one complete uninterrupted stack of layers. It doesn't exist. Big Bad Mama, do not come on this channel and lie to the viewers. I will ban you forever. We like you being here to hang out, but you are not going to literally lie. Nowhere in the world does a complete geologic column exist. Nowhere. Stop
But wait a minute.
lying.
Wait a minute. Just to be fair, is this the comment that you have shared on the screen?
I'm not sure. No, this is not the one.
Okay,
No.
because he's saying it is a theoretical model.
No. I challenged him, and he presented this as evidence, hoping that people were not intelligent enough to fact check it. In 5 seconds of ChatGPT, 5 seconds disproved Big Bad Mama's lies. Don't listen to these so-called geologists. Big Bad Mama is as dumb as a rock.
So yeah, maybe you chose the right field, BBM.
Yeah, I guess you could call that a family reunion since he's spending time with all his ancestors. Big Bad Mama, you can keep putting names in here, but that doesn't change the evidence. I literally just pulled it up on the screen for you. Like, I don't know if you were born this stupid or if it developed over time or what your issue is. Like, you're a special type of stupid. You really are. And it saddens me because I like you so much. Like, I legitimately like you. I enjoy hanging out with you on panels. But you come and spew this false knowledge and you literally lie to people. None of these locations are full, uninterrupted geologic columns. It's a lie.
And I found your comment, BBM, so Stephen is right. You are lying.
He is a liar. He is a liar and the truth is not in him.
I mean, you would expect ChatGPT to say, well, we have this. No,
Yes.
it doesn't. It has a direct no.
Praise God. Oh,
Praise
it can
God.
be reconstructed from those parts. Kind of like you guys reconstructed Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
Mic drop. Boom.
So, diversion aside, our job on this panel tonight was to address where evolution leads to. We all understand now, all around here, understand that it is a fake. It is a religion. You have to believe in it at the absence of facts. But where does that theory lead? Because the theory that I have a creator who is looking over me is a good thing, but also a bad thing. It means that I have to abide by what his will is, and therefore there are some things in life that I'm like, God said I shouldn't do that. so I'm not doing it. But if you just evolved from nothing and from no one, then you are free to do anything. And you get things like Columbine, where the children that did it kept talking about evolution. And they did the the attack on the school on Hitler's birthday to commemorate him as a leader who tried to push evolution forward by getting rid of the inferior races, because he thought the Jews and the blacks and the gypsies and the Slavs were inferior. He even had a map of the inferior and superior races. Then the Japanese liked that because they looked at their bodies and said, well, look, wait a minute, we have less hair on our bodies than the other races, which means that we have evolved further from the ape than the other races. So when they caught American prisoners, they treated them brutally because they thought they were inferior. They thought they were monkeys. There have been so much done in the name of evolution, so much evil done. You know that we had a black guy, I say we because I'm white. And I will take that blame just as you guys should. We had a black guy in a cage on a zoo at the times in the 50s, I think. It was in the US. And we kept them in a cage in the zoo to show the difference between us and them and being how close they are to monkeys. And that guy ended up killing himself. So that wouldn't have happened if people were reading their Bible that says we all carry the same blood. They have another Bible, the theory of evolution, which the origin of species is what I'm going to write here. And I will share my screen. And I will show whoever cares to find out, because I know BBM doesn't. He knows these things. BBM knows these things, and he keeps coming in the chat. And every time we have a creation discussion or an evolution discussion, he just throws lies in the chat, hoping that he can discredit us. So he knows this. But for those that don't know this, is my screen shared?
Yep. Yes.
So this is the title that you think is the title of the book of Darwin. Charles Darwin on the origins of species by means of natural selection. Now, I want you to notice there is a comma at the end of selection because the title is not over yet. If you scroll down, it says, or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. And Hitler loved that book. He just read every page. It is a racist theory.
I would like to point out something stupid that Big Bad Mama said. I know, I could do this all night, but...
Yeah, exactly.
He also says...
to point that out.
Big Bad Mama says, also, the existence of the entire column at one spot is irrelevant. Thank God you finally admitted something that was true. All of the parts of the geologic column exist in many places. Okay, let me just explain the stupidity of this comment, BBM. That's like saying that because if you dig in Africa, you will find the bones of Africans, and if you dig in Europe, you will find the bones of Europeans, and if you dig in the United States, you will find the bones of Native Americans, that somehow explains different periods of time where this person existed and then they died off and this race existed. That's stupid. All it means is you dig in different areas, you find different bones, and these different species prefer different climates. You're being disingenuous. I don't know if you're this ignorant on purpose or if you have to go through extra schooling to become this dumb, but you are really at a level of incredible ignorance that I am baffled by.
And he continues being disingenuous.
Oh, I know. He's a flat out liar.
Like, look at this. He says racism is thousands of years older than the theory of evolution. Well, not the crimes of racism. Plus, even if racism existed before the theory that came to reaffirm it, it just came like a magnifying lens and made people more racist. And then the fact that now today slavery is much less, that has nothing to do with the theory, is more that people getting away from the theory. That's why it's changing. Unfortunately, not enough, because it's still in the textbooks. Now, they can't flat out say this means we are superior than blacks. They won't flat out say it, but they plant the seed in children. But the chat is already onto you, BBM. I read a comment, somebody here. Yeah, here we go. Nice one, Ralphie.
Yes, and to answer this question, man, we're going to just be answering questions all night. Phantom says, I don't think you can tell the authenticity of a human just from the bones. Well, actually, in forensic anthropology, scientists can often make an educated estimate about a person's ancestral background by examining skeletal fractures, shape of the nasal opening, cheekbone structure, eye orbit shape, jaw structured, and dental patterns. So, yeah. And that was just an example of how stupid Big Bad Mama's argument was. That wasn't putting out evidence for creationism. I'm just saying if you dig in certain places, you're going to find certain things. You can't then create an artificial column of mankind. You can't do it. It's stupid.
My turn. So, I don't know how many depression groups you've gone into, Tate Sander, but I've been in many for the past decade. So, the minute you talk to a depressed child and you explain to them that they actually have a creator and they're not a random accident and they have to be patient with whatever test this life is throwing on them because it's a test, their depression dies. And I've seen that happen. I've seen children make public statements in depression groups and say, I'm leaving the group because I talked to that guy and he convinced me I'm not an accident and I don't need to be around here anymore. I feel great. And how it relates to suicide, I don't know how much suicide has affected you, but it has affected me. It has affected my life. And what happened was that I had a cousin who was a very strong believer, a very strong believer. And then he had an accident. And he got hit by a car with a lot of mileage, not mileage, it was racing. It broke every bone on his body. But the guy survived. He miraculously survived. After months in the hospital, he ended up walking again. But one thing changed. He said to himself, if there was a God, and me being such a believer, he wouldn't have allowed this accident to happen to me. So we've had hundreds of arguments, and he could never be convinced. He had become an atheist. And 10 years down the road, he took his life. Because being an atheist can lead that way when you feel bad. You say, it's random. Random things are happening to me. There is no God to tell me that whatever you do, don't do that and be patient. So I'll just try it out. Maybe next life is better.
I want to just address this comment real quickly, and I'm sorry to hear about that person that passed away. Big Bad Mama says that Stephen was homeschooled on Kent Hovind DVDs, so he has an excuse for ignorance. And while it's true, Kent Hovind DVDs were a small part of my educational background when I was homeschooled, and private school, mind you, because I wasn't only homeschooled. But in addition to that, we had curriculum. We had Saxon and we had Abeka, which Abeka is far more advanced than any of the textbooks they use at like grades in the public school system. And as a result of that, in Florida, homeschoolers test much higher than the public school kids. So just like in the field of geology, Big Bad Mama knows nothing.
Big Bad Mama went on the offensive, didn't he?
That's okay. I don't mind bopping him back down. I love Big Bad Mama. And that's why I care so much that he doesn't believe in this trash. It's not science. It's pseudoscience.
So a couple of final quick comments from me before I go feed my dogs. So Tate, you're saying that by that logic, if a person feels depressed under the Christian idea of hell, whoa. Hell does not depress Christians. Now, if a Christian, because we're the ones that are not going to go there, dude, it only depresses us that you are going there. That's what depresses us.
Amen.
But we've made a show here a couple of weeks ago, about Christians being depressed, and neither Stephen nor Richard nor myself are not influenced by depression. We all go through it. The difference is that we understand that we have to endure it and go through it. There are different things depressing different individuals, but we would never take the step of ending our lives because we're not the ones that called us to be here. We believe somebody put us here and he knows better, and we abide by his will, and we will not take an easy way out of this, even if it sucks, because life ain't so keen all the time. And then you say it would be good for them to deconvert so they won't have any depression after thinking hell is fake. Hell is not fake. You think it's fake because you believe it's fake, right? You have no evidence for it, and I don't have no evidence for it. So you have a theory, you have a religion, and I have my own. And the second comment I wanted to put out is, yes, Lina, she says that I agree, she agrees with the comment with children. I just want you guys to know that a week ago in Greece, two 15-year-old girls jumped off a roof and killed themselves because they wrote a paper, a suicide note, and they said, homework is too much, we will fail the exams, and that will make us have a lousy work, and we choose to see what's next instead of going through this and go to give the exams. Now, a Christian doesn't think that way. I hope that's an answer to you, Mr. Tate. And may God bless those girls and my cousin, because they didn't know better. And okay, let me read this. Well, fear of hell is by no means.
All right.
No, she's right, though. She's right. No Christian should convince people to accept God because of hell. It's not fear that leads us to God. It's love. Right? Gotta step away. So, guys, take care of BBM for me.
I actually think this is a perfect segue for Rich's presentation. Would you like to pull that up, Rich, and go over why the law of thermodynamics prevents evolution from being real?
Well, I would like to first address the Big Bang when I first came in, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would love Big Bad Mama to come in, or even Claude come in and debate this one with me. Schedule a debate with Stephen. Cosmology and physics, shows that the universe cannot create itself. Let me pull this up here real quick. To some atheists, it's funny. I think you can If they believe the sky is red, you take them outside on a clear day, you tell them to look up, they'll begin to wonder if they're going colorblind. That's just how it works. You can show them everything, and they'll still believe that it happened by itself. All right, let's see here. Let me get this queued up.
All right, for all you evolutionists out there, this presentation is going to be pretty scary for you. So I recommend you get your blankie and cover your eyes, and we'll tell you when it's over.
Thanks for the introduction there, Stephen. That's really nice of you, man.
Hey, I mean it.
Let me get to a point where I can share this screen here. Window. Hold on. According to evolution, I should be able to do this a lot quicker, not slower, but things degrade according to the laws of thermodynamics.
Well, you know the famous saying, Rich, we need more time. We need more time.
Well, in this case, you're right. You know, I need more time.
Right.
I think I got it. Hold on. Window.
And while you're pulling that up, Tate Sander, whatever that is, says, who is saying the universe came from nothing, dude? Well, I guess you missed the beginning of our show where we showed the multiple scientists saying that everything came from nothing. Weird flex, but okay. Go back and watch the beginning, dude. All right, I give it to you, Rich.
Hold on. Alt-D-V. Make sure. Let me Alt-Tab, see if I got the right slide going. Oh, nope, of course not. Again, I need more time.
Okay, bro, now you're sounding too much like an evolutionist. Are we going to have a checklist for you to go down and make sure you haven't converted?
No, I need to set up my second screen. The best way to do this is on the specific slideshow, and it only works if I have two screens going. I've only got one on right now, so...
By the way, guys, question for you in the audience. 12 people watching. It's not a lot, but answer me this question, and it's a legitimate question. Are you guys aware of any other young Earth creation ministries that go as hard against evolution? I would say I haven't seen them, but if you guys are aware of any, can you drop their names in the comment section so we can try to network with them?
Okay.
Still having trouble, Rich?
Well, I've got my second screen up now. I'm just trying to queue it up. Let me know if you see the full slide or you see the slide with my notes on it.
Right now, I see as many slides as evident. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, my joke is ruined. All right. I see it, Rich. And it's the full screen.
Okay. All right. So, archived in Caltech, Richard Feynman said in The Values of Science, it is our responsibility as science, knowing the great progress and great value of a satisfactory philosophy of ignorance, that great progress that is the fruit of freedom of thought, to proclaim this value of freedom, to teach how doubt is not to be feared but welcomed and discussed. To demand this freedom is our duty to all coming generations. I'd like to show you guys what the combination of private school and public school does to an independent thinker. The doubt of this backbone of all scientific thought. It is the fundamental principle of every scientific debate. It is the duty of everyone who looks up at the stars and asks the question of why and how. It's my goal of this lesson to show that Genesis 1:1 is the only logical explanation for the origin of the universe. It's an even larger goal to show that spiritual death is the biggest disease in human history, and it has a cure. That is John 3:16. I've been studying cosmology for over a decade now, and I believe that there's enough evidence to show that the universe did not expand from a singularity. and it is impossible for the universe to create itself. In the beginning, God created the heaven, earth. And in this lesson, I hope to teach you that physics will not allow the universe to create itself. Physics shows that it is necessary for something to put it into existence. Hope to teach you and show you that escape velocity and Einstein's theory of relativity allow the universe to expand from a singularity. Basically, when it comes down to if all the matter and energy in the universe were in one singularity, it would create a gravity well too large that it won't be able to expand from itself. First and second law of thermodynamics, we're going to talk about those a little bit. Those show that is necessary, that God is necessary for the universe to exist. Newton's third law of motion shows the universe was created and it cannot be self-existing and it cannot be infinite. According to the laws of physics, God is necessary for the universe to exist. So there are only two options. Either the universe created itself or something created the universe. So there are no other options. Let's look into the self-created universe theory. The first part of the Big Bang theory. This first part is on the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang theory is a current model of how the universe made itself. I am about to show you that it is not possible. If we take a deep dive into physics, it will show you that it is impossible for the universe to expand out of a singularity. The only explanation is that space, time, matter, energy, and gravity were placed into motion by an external force. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning God created the heaven." It does not say that God made the singularity and expanded the heaven from it. So this is according to space.com. This is your own theory. The Big Bang theory stands as the most widely accepted explanation for the origin of the universe. According to this theory, the universe began as an infinitely small, hot, and dense point, which rapidly expanded and continued to stretch over 13.7 billion years. This initial period of rapid inflation set the stage for the vast and still growing cosmos we observe today. So how do they get that theory? In a nutshell, the universe is observed to be expanding. Scientists look at the stars and observe they are moving away, and they follow that motion back in time and assume it all came from a single point in space. Here's a diagram showing how they think everything was put together over a long period of time. On the left, you'll see that everything started from one single spot and then expanded outwards, then gradually became the universe we observe. Here's another diagram. According to this model, quantum fluctuations initiated the rapid expansion. So what are quantum fluctuations? Quantum fluctuations are temporary random changes in energy at a specific point in space, arising from the fundamental uncertainty in quantum mechanics. This means that even in seemingly empty space, particles can briefly pop into existence and disappear due to energy fluctuations. Let's look at this part. Let's back up just a second. This part of the explanation is the most intellectual explanation for "we don't know how it happens" that I've ever heard, arising from the fundamental uncertainty in quantum mechanics. It's a pretty clever way to do that. Can't you just say, "I don't know"? You know, you don't have to write it out like that. So do quantum fluctuations prove that the universe can create itself? It's a pretty good question. Seems like a pretty good assumption. If we can observe energy coming into existence, then we can assume the universe can create itself. If that is true, why doesn't that energy remain? Why does it disappear? If quantum fluctuations prove that the universe could create itself, then the energy coming into existence would not disappear. Rather, it would remain. Let's ask that question again. Does it prove the universe can create itself? No, because it is happening in an already existing universe. So according to the Big Bang theory, the universe began as an infinitely small, hot, and dense point. Bear, what are you doing? This is not a good time to climb on my lap, puppy. I guess they feel my blood pressure going up or something. I don't know.
He's trying to evolve
So
into
how
a lap
small?
dog,
Definitely
Rich.
small. Oh, he's halfway there. You can't hear him. Half puppies. Got to fight for attention. Come on, go on. Lie down, baby. If dogs are random, I would love to see the lab results. All the lab results I get are just 3/4 stupid and a creature. But anyway, how small is infinitely small? If it was infinitely small, it'd be so small you couldn't even measure it because it wouldn't exist. So there's an assumption that out of non-existence, it appeared all by itself without explanation of where it came from. And if it did come into existence as a singularity, the theory says it would have to expand from itself. That is the Big Bang Theory, right? So here is an artist's representation of a black hole. Black hole is the only somewhat observable singularity in the universe. I say somewhat observable because we cannot see what's inside it. We can only see the light bending around it. This is the first picture ever taken of a black hole. Why is it called a black hole? It's assumed it's a very, very dense body with so much matter, light cannot escape it. If light cannot escape it, we cannot observe what's inside. Where our eyes work is they pick up on the light that is being reflected off of the matter. Then our brain registers the information and we see the world around us with it. If light cannot escape a black hole for us to see it, obviously we can't see what's inside. Here's a quote from Stephen Hawking, right? He said, because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Spontaneous creation is the reason there is something rather than nothing. It is why the universe exists. It is why we exist. It is not necessary to invoke God to light the blue touch paper and set the universe going. Am I the only one that finds it interesting that this quote was published in a book called The Grand Design? Stephen Hawking and co-author Leonard Molyneux, I think is how you pronounce his last name, suggests that gravity and quantum fluctuations can initiate the universe into existence, but cannot explain how either of them came into existence themselves. Why does gravity exist? I asked Google this question. It said gravity exists because of the fundamental property of mass bending space-time. This curvature of space-time is what we perceive as the force of gravity, causing objects with mass to be attracted to one another. While we know what gravity does and how it behaves, the fundamental why it exists still remains a deep mystery in physics. So what is gravity? No one knows for sure, right? My friend Dr. Kent Hovind has a little good explanation that says, give me a jar and paint it red. No one can do that. However, we know what it does. Gravity is something that pulls matter and energy towards each other while warping the fabric of space-time in the process. The best guess is that gravity is space-time trying to return to its normal position. It acts like water returning from the center of a pool after you displace it with a beach ball, right? Get a small kiddie pool, take a beach ball, and push it down in the water, you will see that the water is displaced, right? And basically gravity works as, the entire surrounding water wants to return to that place that has been displaced. On top of that, you add in the effects of attracting magnetism and you'll get an understanding for how it works. Gravity is attracted by the inverse square law. The closer the objects get together, the stronger the attracting forces is between them. Okay, so nowhere in what we observe do we see that gravity or the law of gravity can create anything. The first law of thermodynamics says that energy can't be created or destroyed. The same is true for matter, gravity, and space-time. Seems like one of those prove me wrong theories because you can't go back in time to observe the introduction of the universe. Conveniently, I agree. I use the same thing on evolution. Oh, it takes millions of years for these things to mutate. Well, show me. No, we can't go back in time and observe it. Okay, then why are you teaching it as fact? What we can observe is that gravity cannot exist independently, because all gravity that we can measure is based on the overall mass of the body it is pulling towards. So back in 2011, NASA launched the GRAIL mission, Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory. 2 satellites, ebb and flow, flying in tandem around the moon. By precisely measuring the distance between these 2 satellites, scientists could detect subtle variations in the moon's gravitational pull. By doing this, NASA figured out that the variations in the moon's gravity field are caused by differences in the density of materials, both on and beneath the surface. As the satellites orbit around the moon in tandem, if the leading one would accelerate just a little bit on its own away from the tailing satellite, it meant it traveled over a denser part of the moon. This is one way NASA proved that gravity is based on the density or overall mass of a planetary body. By the way, you are made of mass, and therefore you have your own gravitational field. Some more than others, like me. But you can't see your effects here on Earth because the gravity of the Earth is too strong. If you went far out into space, far enough away from any planetary mass where you were barely affected by any external gravity, and took a marble at arm's length and released it, gravitational pull of your body would attract the marble back to you. Ebb and flow showed us that gravity is a symbiotic relationship to matter. Neither matter or gravity can exist independent of one another. Gravity cannot create matter, energy, space, or time. What you have here is a big chicken and the egg problem. What came first, the gravity to make the matter or the matter to make the gravity? Both had to come into existence at the same time. The singularity said to the universe cannot place itself into existence because of gravity. I asked a physics major once, where did the matter come from the singularity? He said that they don't know. First law of thermodynamics states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. The same is true for matter, gravity, and space-time. If that law is true, which it is, how did it get there? How did the universe form that law? How did matter and energy enter the universe and then decide nothing can be added or taken away from it? If you ask me, that law of physics and the fact that the law is there and that the universe exists is enough evidence to show, like, look, something had to organize it into place. Bear, you need to go lay down, bud. Go on. Go on. I think this question brings up the theory that maybe the universe is infinite. I don't think it is, because the entire universe is in motion, and something had to put it into motion, and it cannot go into motion by itself. More on that later. The second law of thermodynamics states that all spontaneous processes in the universe tend towards increasing entropy, which is a measure of disorder or randomness. This means that systems naturally move from a state of order to a state of greater disorder. Go look at grandma's house, a state of order to a state of greater disorder. If you leave anything alone and don't maintain it, that is what will happen. It'll gradually tend towards a state of greater disorder. There's evidence all over the place, especially on the eastern part of the country. You go out into Europe, ask Achilles. There's probably ancient ruins still decaying from hundreds of years ago. They're not organizing and making themselves better.
No, the Parthenon is improving over time.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, it just takes millions of years. Gotta wait for it.
Right. Okay. Well, here's a car, same type of thing, same example. He doesn't look too happy sitting out there slowly decaying. Everything is bound by the second law of thermodynamics, right? That law does not change over time. The law of physics are what maintain the structure of the universe. They do not change. Oh, wrong button. What placed it into a state of order in the first place? Right? If everything tends towards disorder. Oh, I gotta edit that, not tense towards disorder. It would have moved disorder as soon as the Big Bang happened, and it never would have became organized. This is one reason I don't believe the Big Bang or self-creating universe theory. Okay, escape velocity versus the speed of light won't allow the universe to expand from a singularity. I'm just going to do a rough thing. I've got a few videos that kind of show, better explain how escape velocity works, but I'm just going to explain it, move past that, save us a little time. Okay, so escape velocity is very important in understanding why the universe can't expand from a singularity. So escape velocity is the minimum velocity needed for any object to escape a relative gravity well, right? So if you took a stone or a baseball or any object and threw it up in the air, as soon as you let go of it, you stop giving that object energy, and it would continue moving in that direction according to Newton's laws of motion until a force acts upon it. Well, as soon as it leaves your hand, it's going to begin to slow down because it has a gravitational pull on it. And it's going to continue to slow down and then stop at its apogee and then continue and start falling back towards Earth because gravity's pulling on it. Now, if you throw it up even harder, as hard as you can, it'll go a lot higher than before, but it'll still slow down, then it'll stop. Eventually, if you can sling it so hard, it'll move so fast that gravity's pull will not be able to slow it down, and it will leave the gravitational influence. For Earth, that's relatively 25,000 miles an hour. Oh, hold on. And let me get past these little videos here. They're wanting to start. Yeah. Okay. Escape velocity of the Earth, roughly 25,000 miles an hour. Escape velocity of the Moon is roughly 53 miles an hour. Escape velocity of Mars is just over 11,000 miles per hour, and escape velocity of Jupiter is a large 133,000 miles an hour. So why is all this necessary, right? So the escape velocity of the sun right there is 1.4 million miles an hour, roughly, right? So these examples show that escape velocity is based on the overall mass of the planetary body, right? Hopefully you understand what escape velocity is. Cannot really explain. Well, I guess we could go through those videos. It shows basically the same thing, but in more detail. The rocket accelerating, showing its overall trajectory, and eventually that trajectory doesn't come back to Earth. It, escapes the gravity altogether. Escape velocity alone shows that the universe cannot expand from a singularity. Okay. What's the escape velocity of the singularity at the beginning of the universe? No one knows for sure, but we can kind of get a good educated guess. So I asked Google, what is the estimate of the total number of stars in the universe? The current estimate for the number of stars in the observable universe is around 2 trillion galaxies, each containing roughly 100 billion to 400 billion stars, leading to a total estimate of around 200 billion trillion stars, according to Little Passports and World Atlas. That's a really big number. Okay, we can figure this out with basic math and really big numbers. Let's take
but the chat says that we hate science, Rich.
Of course they do. Of course they do. Probably because they don't understand it. If they let me finish this explanation.
You keep saying let's do math, but they're saying we hate them. So I don't know.
Of course. Well, here, this. Well, I'm wrapping it up right here.
I don't mind. I'm just pointing out their lies. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's not even a high school level math. It's just really big numbers, just a little bit of division here and multiplication, right? So 200 billion trillion stars, that's 23 zeros. Using our stars as a reference, there are larger and smaller stars in the universe, so it kind of averages out, right? Okay, so the escape velocity of our sun is 1.4 million miles an hour. You take 1.4 million miles an hour, or 1,381,000, if we're going to be specific, and you get 2,763,420. right? And then add 23 zeros to that, and you get that really big number right there, which is 276 octillion miles per hour. It would take to escape a mass the size of a singularity that contained all of the stars, right? That's just the estimated stars. That doesn't include planets, moons, asteroid, comets, or other celestial bodies with mass. If you include that, you would have a much larger number. Every time we build a bigger telescope, we see more and more stars. Then God's there waiting, just make a bigger telescope, you'll see even more. So that number is just going to go up. Did I mention that the universe has a maximum velocity of the speed of light in a vacuum, which is 670 million miles an hour roughly? So let's take that really big number, 276 octillion, and divide that by the speed of light in a vacuum. We would get a number roughly 412 quintillion times faster of the speed of light is necessary for anything to escape the singularity at the supposed beginning of the universe. The gravity well would be so strong that it couldn't expand from itself. Right? So this means the universe can't expand from a singularity. Just basic math with really big numbers. We don't need to go into all this other stuff. Just talks about
something I read recently, which is they're now doing this to try to make an excuse for how is this possible, what you are actually presenting right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that they're saying that the speed of gravity is equal to the speed of light. So you can look. Yeah, you can look.
Well, if the speed of gravity is equal to the pull of light, then it would balance itself out, equal itself out. Nothing would happen. You just get a neutral zero, and it wouldn't move.
Yeah. Just type in on Google speed of gravity, and you get that from ChatGPT that it's equal to the speed of light. So I bet they're doing this in order to justify the problem that you are presenting right now.
I think what they're doing, they're saying the maximum speed of gravity. So it's another way of explaining that the maximum velocity in the universe is the speed of light. The point that I'm saying is that you would need a velocity faster than the speed of light to escape that gravity. The faster, the fast, it doesn't matter the speed of gravity. The gravity isn't really a speed. It's an acceleration process. It's energy going into matter and pulling it to a certain acceleration. Like the acceleration of Earth is 9.8 meters per second squared, right? So 9.8 meters per second. And then the next second would be an additional 10 meters per second, and so on. That was
exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for that type when I Googled the speed of gravity, but it hit me with that it's equal to the speed of light, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
Well, that's the maximum velocity. It can pull anything. Like, it can't accelerate anything past the speed of light, because the speed of light is the ultimate speed limit of the universe. Nothing can exceed it, whether it's pulled by gravity, whether it's accelerated by an explosion, whether it's accelerated by a rocket engine, which we can't get anything with a regular rocket engine to accelerate to that speed, but that's besides the point. The point is, you would need a velocity. You need a velocity much larger than the universe allows to escape from a gravity well that strong. That's the point.
Maybe that's why they're saying that at the beginning it was nothing, because if it was everything condensed, they would have this problem. So maybe they're saying nothing just to get around this problem, the gravity well of everything.
Well, I've heard a few arguments. A physics major told me the James Webb Telescope just discovered a region in space where the laws of physics were different. So the laws of physics don't change just because they're inconvenient for your theory. You can't look into a different place in space and see how physics is different. It doesn't work. So another argument is that it was space that expanded. It was either Claude, maybe Big Bad Mama. Someone on this channel actually brought that up also. Space would still be pulled inward by gravity. Gravity bends space. Space doesn't bend gravity. How does an absolute vacuum nothing expand? It's nothing, it's just there. Another one I heard, the speed of light was faster in the beginning, so the laws of physics were different in the first moments of the universe, so the theory would make sense. Gravity didn't exist until after the universe expanded, so matter didn't either, and neither did energy until the universe expanded away from itself. Okay, those are arguments that I've heard against this, and I'm sorry, but the Big Bang isn't possible. Here's another model showed that here's another model showing the accelerated expansion of the universe. It says dark energy accelerated that expansion. So it accelerated faster than the universe would allow, and then it accelerated even faster. No, that doesn't work here either. Gravity generated by a singularity containing all the matter of the universe would be too strong for it to expand from itself. Psalms 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork." The only way for the universe to exist is if something put it into place and into motion at the same time. The universe cannot create itself. The universe cannot put itself into motion. We can go into the universe in motion. It shows why the universe cannot be infinite. So the entire universe is in motion, from galaxies down to tiny rocks, right? If you look at a pebble or a table, down at the molecular level, everything's in motion.
And so, have you heard of the Goofy galaxy?
Yeah, the one that's spinning backwards. Yeah,
right. They don't talk about much, because there is a galaxy, for the viewers that don't know, there is a galaxy that is spinning backwards. Well, it's going at the direction of its legs, not the other way around. And that is like the galaxy that disproves the Big Bang Theory. They have no explanation for this. That's why you don't hear that a lot.
Well, here's an explanation for it. I actually talked to Dr. Hovind about it, and he couldn't come up with a response, but because he uses that in his presentation. Nothing against Doc, he's very brilliant. But so if you look at a tire, right, and it's spinning clockwise, right, and you keep that clockwise motion, well, you take it on its third axis and flip it 180 degrees with it still spinning, and then look at it from the same point, it'll look like it's spinning the opposite direction.
Wait,
so
what?
If you take a tire, right, and you see it, or anything, right, and you see it spinning one direction, from your point of view, or no, here's a better one. So you take a clock, a phase clock, and you see the hands spinning in a clockwise motion, right? Then you turn the clock around, right? And if you could still see through the plastic, you'll see that the hands are now spinning in a counterclockwise direction from your point of view. You just take it on its third axis and flip it over.
Look, my brother, the galaxy is not spinning. Not all galaxies are spinning clockwise, but they're always spinning, and their legs are dragging together with the spin, following the spin. Which made us arrive to the conclusion, after seeing at the center of our galaxy, that it is a big black hole in the middle, and that's why this is happening. But there is one of them that the legs are going first. So it's spinning backwards. It's not that we see it from the perspective that we are.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. You need to show me that one. I want to study it for a little while and read up on it too. I would love. Yeah, please show me that later on. Let me get done with this. So, going back to the universe in motion. So the simplest explanation of the third law. Imagine you're sitting in a rowboat, right, in the middle of a lake. It's very calm. There's no wind. It's very peaceful. Just quiet. And you want to get to shore, right? You start rowing, and the action of you rowing the boat causes the reaction of the boat moving forward. The boat didn't move itself. It moved because you are pulling on the water with the paddle, right? So an action cannot act upon itself, and no action can cause itself. For any matter to move, something separate from itself must act upon it. That action cannot act upon itself. If this were true, the boat would be able to move itself across the water without an external force, such as wind, a motor, or you rowing it. Okay, so here's going into the third law with a little more detail. Well, let me shut my air conditioner off because I don't know if that's affecting the presentation. All right. So if object A acts a force upon object B, then object B will exert an opposite yet equal force upon object A. Right? So if object A is you rowing, object B is the water. Right? Object B will be the water causing strain on your muscles because of the resistance.
Let me mute for a second because I'm responding to the chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're waiting on some input from me?
Oh, I thought you said you wanted me to mute for a minute.
No. I'm muting because I'm responding to a question in the chat. So I'm just listening to you.
Okay. No, that's fine. All right. So if object B is the universe, what is object A? If object B is the universe and it's moving, what is the object that put an equal force upon it? Something had to. It cannot act upon itself. So think about the entire mass of the universe and realize that it's moving. No one can stand behind a freight train and push it, let alone, make an entire galaxy move. What an amazing God we serve. So if object A acts a force upon object B, then object B will exert an opposite yet equal force upon object A. All right? Is that why God rested on the seventh day? I don't know. We're just throwing that out there. There's a whole chapter of philosophy right there. Can God work so hard that even he needs rest? Did God rest to show us an example, or because he was tired? We are made in God's image, so that must mean he needs rest, right? I don't know. We need physical rest. Does the Spirit of God need rest? Can God work so hard that even he needs rest? I don't know. Okay, let's look at another analogy. Take a windmill, for example. How is the windmill turning? The windmill turns because the wind places a force upon the blades and causes them to spin. A windmill didn't move itself. The windmill won't turn without the wind, just like the universe can't move without God putting it into motion. So what turned the windmill? The wind, right? Obviously. What made the wind? The change in air pressure. What changed the air pressure? The heat. What caused the heat? The sun. Everything has cause and effect. Motion has an action and a reaction. If we keep going back, right? What made the sun turn? The angular momentum created of the solar system. What made that spin? The angular momentum of the galaxy. What made the galaxy spin? They say the singularity started spinning by itself, but I don't agree with that singularity model. If you keep going back, you'll see that something had to put the whole universe into motion. So I don't know if I put it in this presentation. I may need to edit it, but what are the first two laws of motion? An object at rest will remain at rest until something acts against it, right? So if everything is in existence, something needs to be there to put it into motion. It can't act upon itself. Something had to put it that way. The fact that the universe is in motion tells us that it did not create itself. Something had to put it into motion. Something had to exert a force upon the universe because it cannot exert a force upon itself. I believe the universe can't have always existed, and it cannot be infinite because it is in motion. Something that is in motion had to have been put into motion by an external force. Romans 1:20 says, "For the sense of the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen." What are the invisible attributes that are clearly seen? The laws of physics. The universe cannot place itself into existence. So let me ask you again, there are only two options. Either the universe created itself or something created the universe. The universe cannot expand from a singularity. The universe cannot put itself into order. The universe cannot place itself into motion. The universe was put into existence and bound by laws. The universe cannot create itself. Being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. There is no excuse. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In the beginning was the Word. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made. Physics shows that it is necessary for the universe to exist. So who is this God? I'm going to close with this. Just wrap it up here, and we can continue going on. He is someone of grace, justice, love. He is not hate. I've seen many people curse God because of their own circumstance. Everyone loves great emotions, but God made all the others as well. He will use those in your life to shape who he wants you to be. Jesus Christ didn't die on the cross to fill a hole in your heart. Jesus Christ didn't die on the cross so you can prosper on earth financially. In this vast universe, he made a tiny speck of dust called earth and filled it with an amazing thing called consciousness. That consciousness chose sin over him. So he became a physical life on that little speck of dust, where he was brutally beaten, mocked, spit on, and nailed to a cross, just so we can be righteous in his eyes, and so he can live with us. And all he asked for us to do was believe and turn from your wicked ways. Let me put that into perspective for you. Who here has children? Would any of you nail your child to a tree for someone who didn't care to know you? Or spit in your face just because of your existence? God did that for you. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. That was fun. Thanks, guys. Took a little longer than 10 minutes, but Stephen, you back? Do I just sit here in awkward silence? Okay, let's see if there are any questions. If anybody has any questions for me, go ahead and throw them down in the comments. I'm going to scan through there. If any of you listening would like me to speak at your church, I would love to do that. Richard, my restream keeps crashing. Yeah, I have the same problem, Achilles, every now and then. Even coming into this presentation. Hold on. Just pulled a tick off of my dog. These little bastards are everywhere this year. It's easiest to put them on a table and crush them with a coin. You can't crush them with your fingers. Come here. Thank God I gave him a tick medicine earlier. I think they fell asleep. I agree. The truth is the truth, and everything.
Hi to that.
There he is. Yeah. Okay. You're back.
Well, I'm not exactly back because it looked frozen. I don't know for.
I can still hear you. Your icon isn't up, or your little what is it, avatar or whatever, but we can still hear you. I'm looking through the.
I'll click wait. I hope it gets fixed. Can you hear me now?
I can still hear you, brother.
Okay, I just found that guy who said that we fell asleep. I could time you out for that comment, just so you know. I won't because I'm in my good mood. But when somebody's having a presentation here, the other members don't fall asleep. We're trying to show you something. And I loved all the presentation. I loved how it debunks the Big Bang, and then how it ends up to that you have a very loving creator. And I loved it. It's just so sad that something's going on with Restream today. And it's the first time that it's doing this to me. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, man. This happens to me pretty frequently. It seems like every third or fourth time that I try to get on or do anything, it does that. I'm not sure why, you know.
It's the first time for me. I never had that before. My CPU, every time I load the tab, my CPU is going wild. It just keeps working on 100%, and everything is frozen here. Hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm just Lena responded to me getting a tick off my dog, so I was just petting him, and that tick crawled on my fingers. I didn't pull him off. I just stuck him on the table and crushed him with a coin. Yeah, I don't know if I would want to be allergic to red meat. Is that actually possible?
Allergic to what?
Well, apparently somehow ticks can make you allergic to red meat. I don't know.
Man, that would be a way to quit it, because I have no other way of quitting red meat. I just...
Dude, I'm thinking about going on a carnivore diet, but that's probably a discussion for another time. What are these ones? For me to accept something is true, I need a non-arbitrary method that is reliable, distinguishes fact from fiction. For now, we only have such a method for physical facts and fictions. What's your point?
Stop being an evolutionist then.
Good point.
Prove that point.
You want me to pull up that other thing from Hero X that I have on my other power slide?
Yeah, maybe Phantom, being so sure of evolution, he wants $10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it up.
Hold on, send another presentation. 300 slides to go through. Now I know how Dr. Hovind feels, but he has like 40,000 slides.
I keep getting a page unresponsive. You can wait for it to become responsive or exit the page.
Yeah, I still hear you, and I get the same thing. I usually click on wait, and it works out most of the time.
I think I'm back.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Alrighty.
All right. Slideshow from current slide.
You see, Phantom.
Actually, wait. I have my second screen up. I don't need to.
Until Theories brings it up, let me tell you that they are looking for evidence. It is a website that it gives money to people that solve the greatest problems of science today. And for abiogenesis, they offer $10 million to anyone that can bring proof for it. So that means A, they have no proof, because they wouldn't be looking for it. And B, they're pretty desperate. They're giving away $10 million if you show them the evidence that has you so convinced that it's not a religious viewpoint and it's actual science. If it was actual science, they would have the evidence. They don't. So here it is. This is the website. It's called Hero X, and I will allow Rich to explain.
So Hero X is basically a platform where the greatest minds, colleges, physicists, business owners, if they have a problem that they cannot solve, a lot of them will post it on here with a cash prize. I've seen things like, $10,000 all the way up to, $10 million for this thing. NASA has a few on there, but this one specifically says artificial intelligence plus the origin of life, $10 million US prize. Where did life come from? And the genetic code come from? Can the answer build a superior AI? Right? So right there, where did life and the genetic code come from? There are, number one mystery in science now has a $10 million prize. They are admitting they don't know. They would love to find it. They are desperately, frantically trying to prove their self-creating life theory. My personal opinion, I don't think God is going to allow us or give us the ability to make the breath of life because we are naturally of wicked nature.
Wait a minute.
Naturally wicked.
Can I address one thing real briefly?
Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, so Phantom, who was my boy, I like Phantom. He says origin of life is not evolution. That is exactly like saying childbirth is not related to adulthood. In order to achieve adulthood, you must first be birthed. So
Great
yes,
analogy.
origin and evolution are so directly related that they're basically kissing cousins.
And it's yet one more proof of what you said earlier, that they keep lying. That is a direct lie, that a biogenesis is not directly linked to evolution. You are a liar, Phantom.
Well, it gets stupider. Tate Sander actually wins the dummy award. I've never known anyone as dumb as him. He says artificial selection with dogs is great examples of something that's demonstratable, testable, and repeatable. To which I replied back that artificial selection is actually evidence for a designer. So one of his best evidences for evolution is actually evidence for our side. Artificial selection. As in, you need an outside designer. So this is great. You can't make this stuff up. And they get paid to believe these theories. Like, can you believe that?
And I don't know if they noticed by
Let me throw this out there. Sorry. So, yes, it is the entire foundation of evolution. They say that evolution is from the first self-replicating thing to consciousness that we have behind our eyeballs right now. But the problem is, in order to get that first single cell life, you need to get that life from non-organic material. So they know they can't do that, and it's not physically possible, so they throw that out the window. Don't look at that evidence right there. Don't look at that explanation, because they don't know how it works. But that is the entire foundation of evolution, because without day one, you cannot have day 300 billion years or whatever. You know what I mean?
And that's just day one, because to have evolution, there are days before abiogenesis. You need to have what Richard disproved here with his presentation, which is the Big Bang. It just doesn't work. Math disproves it. The laws of physics disprove it. The law of thermodynamics disproves it. The laws of motion disprove it. The laws of gas disproves it. Of gases. Not gas.
I was going to say tank's been running empty though.
Yeah, and then you have stellar evolution. You have element evolution, like an explosion creates hydrogen and maybe other like light gases like helium. How do you get nitrogen? How do you get uranium? How do you get the 108? They're not 108 anymore, but I just don't remember the number. I think it's 111. Elements. Where did they come from?
How do you get gold from hydrogen? If everything was formed or forged, not forged, I forget the term. But if everything started from hydrogen, let's go down the street. I'll go get you a tank of hydrogen.
And I'll turn it to gold.
Yeah,
I'll give it to Phantom.
National debt. Come on.
I'll give it to Phantom so he can turn it to gold for me. So what they're going to say about that is, oh, stars. Stars make fusion. Yes, okay. But if you focus on the other part, which is how did stars get here, they will say elements. Okay, so what came first, the stars or the elements? Because you need the stars to get the other elements, and you need all those elements to create the stars.
And that, gentlemen, is why I say very boldly that I am not an evolutionist, because I don't have enough faith. It takes 1,000 times more miracles to prove evolution than it does the Bible. the miracles it takes for evolution to happen is greater than God parting the Red Sea.
Because that's just one miracle. They require hundreds of miracles in the whole process. At
This is a good
least
time.
we are admitting it's a religion. And when you guys stop saying it's science, we might even stop having these shows, because your faith is equal to my faith. I have no argument. It's a religion.
Yeah, we don't care what religion you hold to. We prefer it be Christianity because we'd like to see you guys in heaven, but you're free to follow any religion you want. We simply want you to admit that this is not science, it's pseudoscience, and it is a religion. Every part of evolution takes faith because it is not demonstratable, it is not testable, and it is not repeatable. And the examples that Dumb Tate gave earlier was actually evidence that it takes a designer.
Hey, can I say something, Stephen? I don't mean to call you out, but I've been wanting to do this for a couple days. I think doing what Dr. Hovind does, just keep calling people dumb and dumb and dumb, isn't really, very Christian lovingly. We should love these people. We should lift them up. We should encourage them and not, bashing them down,
He's referring to the militant atheists that are just out there to convince people that this is science. So he's addressing those. He's not.
I do agree with what you're saying, Rich, but I would say that there is evidence in our love and compassion for these people in the fact that we have put in thousands of hours of our time and thousands of dollars of our own money just to bring them this information, where counter you have Dr. Kent Hovind, who we all respect here, but he actually takes in a ton of donations. He doesn't put out anything of his own in order to sacrifice in that way, like God supplies him in that way. I, on the other hand, am very, very poor, and I have put in a lot of time and money to bring this information to these people. So yes, I think that they're dumb for believing they come from a monkey, but I'm only here because I love them. Although I do see what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, Rich.
Okay. Getting back to this stuff. This guy said, supernovas synthesize heavy elements, and they only need hydrogen, in the stars in order to do it. I would love to see how much energy we could put into hydrogen to make all those other elements. I would really, really love to see that. No one's ever observed or has any clue how a star actually formed. I mean, if you could pull that off, you could solve the fusion reactor problem. It's another Nobel Prize thing there, but I would love to see it. Please, make me the other elements. Again, let's get a bunch of hydrogen and go pay off the national debt with gold. Please, I would love to do it. Anyway, believing life created itself, from your own definition on dictionary.com, we'll probably change it by now, is a religion. So the first one in white, the belief in and worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially a god or gods. I'll admit, my beliefs are religious. I do believe in God. Let's look at the other two definitions of the same word. The English language, as many people know, has multiple meanings for the same word. The other two definitions for religion are a particular system of faith and worship, and especially a pursuit or interest to which someone ascribes supreme importance. Every evolutionist and atheist really holds that evolution and abiogenesis theory to a supreme importance. By their own definition, it is a religion.
So Richard, here's something funny, interesting. Before I closed down Chrome, I found a website for NGC 4622 is the galaxy that it's spinning following the arms instead of the other way around, the arms following the spin. And I had it stored and ready to show it to you. We could read it together. But now, after I restarted the Chrome, what I get the most, which because I'm triggered to look deeper, I can find it. But the first thing I get with the search assist is what you told me at the beginning, that it spins clockwise in contrast to the other ones that spin counterclockwise. But that's not the issue. The issue is that the arms are proceeding the spin. You see what I'm saying?
No, I don't. I don't know if it's my internet or your internet, but it is coming back very, very choppy.
I actually am hearing that too, Achilles. It's a little broken.
Okay, can you hear me guys now?
Well, my page is unresponsive. Let me click on wait and see what it does.
Yeah, I hear you, Achilles, but it's still a little robotic.
Okay, I don't know.
But I was also going to mention to you guys, I actually have to get going here very, very shortly. Krista and I have a show this evening on Romans 3, and I need to go prep for that a little bit. Okay. So did you guys want to carry on, or we're at 2 hours and 30 minutes? Did you want to call it a night?
I got to feed my dogs and take them for a walk, so it's up to you, Achilles.
No, I'm done. It's 4 a.m. Isn't your show in 10 minutes, Stephen?
I reset it for 8:30 because Krista just got done painting the kitchen with her sister, and it looks great, but she needed to unwind and have a bath. So I'm going to be touching up on Romans 3 while I wait. But tomorrow, everybody, please come back because we're doing an episode on how scientists have used dinosaurs to brainwash your children. So, yeah, that's going to be really good. Also, if you guys are not already subscribed to the channel, everyone's subscribed to the channel except for Tate Sander. Feel free to don't subscribe. And everybody else, we will see you tomorrow.
Wait. Which one of you guys want to address this final lie that was thrown in our chat?
I'm going to give it to one of you guys. You guys are the star guys.
All right. See you later.
Okay, my turn then. We see stars. We see stars blowing up. Yes, we see that. We've never seen a star form, ever. Now they have found this place, which they're saying, "Hey, look, this is where stars are birthed," which is a nebula, and I don't remember the name. I think it's Eagle Nebula. I think it's called. But even that, we don't see stars forming there. We've never observed the star form. And if you look at the number of stars that we have, we should have seen some forming. No, we don't. We see them exploding. We see supernovas, but we don't see them getting formed. So stop lying. If you want to be scientific, why do you have to lie? Say, we see stars dying all the time. I would have no issue with that. But you are lying that we see them form. We don't. So, my brother, I'm going to end this.
All right, go ahead. My computer's acting up anyway, and I'm getting the wait button, and restream is not cooperating.
All right. I want to thank everybody in the chat for helping us show to some viewers that had legitimate questions how lying you guys have to be to support the theory of evolution. So I want to thank you for helping us, because you helped us a lot tonight. Good to see you, Lina, and we'll see you on the next one, guys. God bless.